So for week two, I had you guys read Shirley Jackson's The Lottery along with Ursa K. Le Guin's The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. And when you think about the connection between these two stories, I want you to think to yourself that Ursa K. Le Guin was influenced by a lot of the themes that were being expressed in Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. So, for example, in Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, this story is written during a time of what's known as the modern era. Okay, and the modern era is a very broad term that's been used to describe the mid 19th century in America, all the way up to how America was influenced after World War II. For the sakes and purposes of Shirley Jackson's short story, we can think about the modern era as how America was influenced after World War II. So, how did our perceptions of family change? How did the perceptions of the woman's role in the family, the male's role in the family change? How did our perceptions of religion change? How did technology change the U.S.? How did industry change the U.S.? What were the migration tendencies at that time? So, how many people were moving up from the south to the north, okay, for industry jobs or industry type jobs, okay? In terms of Ursa K. Le Guin, you want to think about this time period known as postmodernism. And postmodernism is, again, a very broad term used to describe a time after modernism or the modern era. So you want to think about the 1960s when you think about a time period in when Ursa K. Le Guin was writing The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas. Specifically, the story was written in 1975. So this period was heavily influenced by a lot of changes that America was experiencing during the 1960s. There are a few themes that I want you all to also pay attention to in both of these stories, and that being the theme of sacrifice. The way in which both of these authors work with the theme of sacrifice kind of compromises our sense of morality as the reader, and we kind of had this idea of the fantastic working there, okay? Because our concepts of reality are being compromised for the sakes and purposes of that story. So, in terms of sacrifice in both Jackson and Le Guin, we see members of the community being sacrificed for the greater good of the community, okay? Which in Shirley Jackson, we see it's more of a communal event. We see all of the characters of that town coming together to basically publicly kill someone for the harvest, so that everyone can reap the harvest for the next planting season. In Le Guin, it's a little bit more interesting because we see this community sacrificing a child, and they completely ignore this child. This child is locked away in a cellar, and no one speaks of this child ever again. Whereas in Jackson, it's more in your face, okay, and it's more of a communal participatory event. So we could ask ourselves in this concept of sacrifice. First, we can ask ourselves the larger question. Okay, that larger question being, what is Jackson and what is Le Guin saying about American society? Okay, the next question that we can ask ourselves is, what is or how does the time period influence their interpretation? So, what is it about the 1940s that gives us a difference of how Jackson is internalizing sacrifice and what she's saying about American society in relationship to what we know about American society in the 1970s, in 1975, and what Le Guin is trying to get at in terms of sacrifice and in terms of American society. So these are a couple of things I want you to consider when you go back and when you review Shirley Jackson's The Lottery and Ursa K. Le Guin's The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas.